The first thing would have popped up into my head is like to just fucking shoot the moon. Shoot it! Shoot it! Shoot it! It's the only way you could see the moon and the sun at the same time is if they were enclosed. When really, in reality, all we are is just a flat Earth covered with a dome. Shoot it! Shoot it! Shoot it! That's the moon. Can you see that? Do you see that? Shoot it! Shoot it! Yeah, that's the day moon. Shoot it! Shoot it! Right there. And there's the sun. Shoot it! If you see that, there you go.
No, I won't be doing that, Chris. The moon's orbit around Earth isn't perfectly in tune with our own day-night cycle, and its phase cycle takes about 29.5 days. And because of this, there are times when the moon's position and phase can cause it to be visible in the sky during the daytime. It's basically up there doing this moon thing while the sun is also out. Now, I know what Chris is getting at you, but sorry, pal, wrong again. It isn't happening because the Earth is flat. Because if it was, the sun and the moon would be visible all the time anyway. Wouldn't they?
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. CC here. Chris from New York, Westchester County.
I just realised something. Is that why CC's greeting is always good morning, good evening, good afternoon? He's so confused by the moon being visible during the day, he doesn't actually know what time of day it is. Anyway, what are we talking about today, Christopher? I bet it'll be really, just need some sort of descriptive word. It'll be really, no, I've got nothing. But I'm sure this video will be really something. Ha! That actually works. The video we are looking at today will be really something. Please subscribe. Right then, listen up, you lovely lot. So you've got flat earthers, right? They're like dogs with bones going after NASA like there's no tomorrow. Makes you wonder what's really tickling their fancy, doesn't it? Is it skepticism or just a good old lack of trust? Now, let's be honest, trusting the news these days is about as low as my tolerance for flat earthers. We're all floating in this ocean of what the heck is going on? Trying to grab onto something that resembles a fact. And here's the juicy bit. This whole trust fiasco, well, it's not a one-off. It's like a wildfire fueled by a truckload of rubbish information. So are these flat earthers just fish in a murky pond gobbling up news that's more opinion than fact? Well, hold on to your knickers, because here comes Ground News, co-founded by Harleen Kaur, who used to work for NASA as an engineer, no less. They're like the superheroes of news, gathering stories from every nook and cranny, local, national, you name it, so you can see the full Monty of what's being reported. If you are interested in what's new for NASA, all you've got to do is type NASA in and it shows you all the top news for today. Let's look at NASA releases UFO report. Right away, you can see 153 different sources covering it. And to get a better picture of the story, you can click through left, center, and right to read in more detail. Then you can also see 60% are from the center. This nifty bias rating checked by not one, but 3 independent watchdogs. And the cherry on top? You can also see that 83% of these articles are high factuality. Now, if you compare this to the ex-Russian space chief claims NASA moon landings were fake story, you can see that 75% of the sources are right and 50% of the sources are low factuality. So, stop faffing about, jumping from one news source to another like a headless chicken. Ground News has got you sorted. So head over to ground.news/CB and snag yourself 30% off unlimited access. Get the real deal, not the media spiel. Massive shout out to Ground News for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the good stuff, shall we?
That was the day moon and the sun.
Day moon? No, it's just the moon. Yeah, it's visible sometimes during the day, but it's still just the moon part. Now, I know that you've got used to dumbing your content down to the point where other flat earthers can at least have a chance at following along, but for us, you don't need to do that. You can just call it the moon and we'll know what you mean.
You see them both, right, at the same time. That's not possible on a globe.
Now, it's actually quite common to see the moon in the daytime. The moon is out in the day for about half of the month, every month. as it moves through its phases from new moon to full moon and back again. So you could potentially see the moon during the day hundreds of times a year. It's one of those everyday astronomical events that's easy to overlook, but really cool once you start noticing it. Now then, for our flat earth friends like CC here, this daily moon show is like a puzzling magic trick, convincing them that we all live on a cosmic space pizza.
The only way you could see the moon and the sun at the same time is if they were enclosed.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, obviously, Chris. And they share a cozy little studio apartment right on the edge of the flat earth. The rent's a nightmare, but the view during an eclipse is to die for. Do you ever listen to yourself? And there's something I've been wondering for a while now. Do any of your friends see your videos? Or are you hoping that your channel is just small enough to slip under their radar? How many different ways have people like me got to explain this stuff to you before you finally have that long overdue light bulb moment? But okay, the moon and the sun are enclosed, and I will assume you mean by the dome. So go on then. Let's hear your insight into the mysteries of the universe.
Now remember
that you're an idiot conspiracy theorist? Yeah, we've got that one covered. How could we possibly forget that when you constantly show us in every single video you upload to your YouTube channel?
the moon is self-illuminating. That's right. It illuminates itself.
No it's not, and no it doesn't. But when have you ever let that stop you before?
The sun, we're not really sure. Plasma, possibly. Heat generating something, but I think heat comes from all over the area.
Okay, so that was a lot. Now then, flat earthers may not be sure what the sun is, but science has got it covered anyway. And in its simplest terms, our sun is a G-type main sequence star, often abbreviated to a G dwarf star or just a G star. It's like the Goldilocks of stars. Not too hot and not too cold, but just right to support life on our little blue planet. The sun's like a massive nuclear reactor at the heart of our solar system. Its core is a hotbed of nuclear fusion where hydrogen atoms get squished together to form helium, releasing energy in the form of heat and light. And this energy then makes a grand escape to the surface of the sun, and voila, we get the sunlight and warmth we've all come to expect.
But hold on 1 second. Let's focus in on the moon.
Fine by me. Do you want me to explain what the moon is, or are you gonna take it, Chris? Actually, mate, no, you go ahead. Let's focus in on the moon.
And what I love about the moon is that if that was 238,000 miles away, okay, and it's being lit by the sun that's 99 million miles away.
Sorry, I'm interrupting. I can't. No. Just no. First of all, we all know the moon's distance from Earth because we've measured it. And as far as the sun goes, where the hell are you getting 99 million miles from? Now, I know flat earthers like to just pluck made-up figures out of the sky, but come on. The sun is actually 93 million miles away from Earth, and its distance is termed as one astronomical unit. It's like a cosmic yardstick for measuring distances in the solar system.
How is that possible that we could even see it in the blackness of space?
How were we able to see the sun in the blackness of space? Are you serious? Well, at the risk of oversimplifying this, because it's bloody massive, you tool, and massively bright as well, making it visible from our tiny blue dot despite the vast 93 million mile gap. Its light is strong enough to travel the distance through space and grace our skies. Let's imagine the sun is a gigantic lamp. And I say lamp to make it relevant to the flat earth morons that may find this video. But let's imagine that lamp is shining light across space, sends out a bunch of tiny light particles called photons, and they are racing towards us here on Earth. And these little speedsters dash through space, and in about 8 minutes they reach the Earth, splashing light and warmth all over the place. Warmth, yeah, right. Not talking about the UK, obviously. Do I really need to keep explaining this? I feel like I'm explaining to a small child why they shouldn't stick a fork in a power outlet.
And where are the stars? In all these NASA photographs, where are they? Where are they?
Okay, so this video was sent to me by a few different people, and when they said that Chris was even more insane than he usually is, I was skeptical, I'll be honest. But Jesus Christ, they weren't wrong, were they? Well, as far as what they are, Chris, you just said it yourself. They're stars. And in fact, you also said where they are. In space. So I'm not entirely sure I understand the question, pal.
And where are the stars? In all these NASA photographs, where are they?
My bad, I missed the where part of your question. And even though I have explained this many times before, I'll give you a quick summary, young Christopher. When astronauts snapped pictures on the moon of Earth, the cameras were set to capture the bright lunar surface under the strong sunlight. Just like when you take a picture of a bright scene, the camera adjusts to let in light so the photo isn't washed out. But the stars are way fainter compared to the bright moon surface, so they get left out of the photos. You know, hiding in the background while the moon steals the spotlight, so to speak.
I guess they didn't have a resolution back in 1969, right? But what about 2023? High definition cameras. We all have them. Hell, we have them on our phone.
Correct! We do all have them, and they all work in the same way as far as light and all that good stuff goes. So I'm afraid I really don't see your point. Again. Now, usually at this point in a video, I would ask if you're really that dumb, but that seems pretty self-evident. You clearly are this dumb, and you insist on proving it to us. Time after time after time.
Time after time.
My camera on my phone is better than any camera out there.
Ooh, now that's controversial. What? Even better than the magical camera that all flat earthers think prove we don't live on a globe? Your beloved P900? And Chris, if you think your phone's camera holds the secret to NASA's fakery, then how about you do something to prove it, mate? Because don't think I haven't noticed that you are one of the many flat earthers who is constantly screaming, aha, and then never saying anything to back up your aha.
I think mine's 10 megapixels. Now they must be up to like 22 or 30, I don't know.
Again, you not knowing is a given. It's clear you don't know. Not sure what it is that you don't know, but in this case, it would seem that you don't know anything about the way cameras work.
Okay, all right. More power than Apollo 11 had in its entire shuttle. Not shuttle, I'm going to call it a tin can, actually, because that's basically what it is.
So I'm going to need a few minutes. I'm genuinely shocked and I feel a little nauseous. Did CC just get something right? The smartphones in our pockets are computing giants compared to the computers of the Apollo era. Back in 1969, those computers had the processing power of a basic calculator, like this one. Now, our smartphones are like having a super fast computer, a camera, music player, and a mini TV all rolled into one. They can juggle multiple tasks at once, something the Apollo computers could only dream of. And it's wild when you think about how far we've rocketed ahead in the tech world since the moon landing.
You see these pictures, okay, of a solar system flying, a galaxy flying through space. And if you're telling me that that's possible on this magical little land that people think they live on because they were brought up with it, and I was brought up with it too, so I can't get angry.
Well, I'm sure that if we were to go through your videos, we would find plenty of examples of you getting angry, Chris. It's what you do, but I get it. It must be infuriating to have so many people pointing out how completely ridiculous your ideas are. It seems like only last month I was making a response to your video where you were claiming that there were two suns. Oh no, wait, that was last month, wasn't it? Anyway, you know what I mean. So how do the two suns come into this idea then, Chris? I mean, you can't just keep changing things and moving the goalposts. Or does the second sun get a day off?
I went through the same thing of this magical, mysterious Walt Disney World land, when really, in reality, all we are is just a flat Earth covered with a dome.
So what exactly happened then to turn you into what you've become now? I mean, I would almost guarantee that Chris here is the type of person who became a flat earther because he saw a couple of YouTube videos from other people who were as equally deluded as he is, saying that the earth is flat. As his videos prove, time after time, he is completely incapable of any independent thought. That's a little bit unfair, actually. I suppose we could consider Chris to be an independent thinker, but the problem is his thoughts seem to be completely independent from his brain. Work that one out.
And that's all it is. It's very simple. No mathematics, no trigonometry. Easy. Simple. Stars, space, gone.
Right, so what you're saying then is in order for normal people, and by that I mean people who are not flat earthers, all we have to do if we ever wanted to join the flat earth squad is completely forget everything we ever learned in school, totally dismiss everything that science shows us about the universe. Oh yeah, and buy a P900 camera. Is that about the size of it?
Imagine just picture, going back to 1955. Scientists, scientism, finally figured out that we live on a flat land and covered with a dome.
Yeah, imagine. Well, you'd have to imagine it, wouldn't you? Now, just for clarity, he did just say that somewhere between 1955 and the mid-60s, that science discovered that we live on a flat earth covered by a dome. Now, and this is purely a guess from me, but is he bringing up this time period and this amazing discovery that somehow nobody believes apart from conspiracy theorists? Oh, and that there is literally zero evidence to support it? But is he now gonna somehow make a connection between the founding of NASA, which happened in 1958, and science discovering that the earth is flat? He is, isn't he? Oh dear.
The first thing would have popped up into my head is like to just shoot the moon. Shoot it! Shoot it! Shoot it!
Chris, I have been covering your lunacy for about 5 years now, and in my completely unprofessional opinion, you're getting worse with every upload. What the hell would we want to shoot the moon for? I can only assume that either you're scared of it and you just want it gone, and this is a more plausible scenario, but you are still of the opinion that the moon is some sort of hologram, and as such you think that by shooting at it you'd see bullets go straight through it. But in either case, Chris, this is the sort of thing we've all come to expect from you. Now, in my humble opinion, for what it's worth, generally speaking, whenever I come across a new flat earther, they fall into one of two different categories. They are either completely nuts or they are just slightly nuts. But in both cases, the thing all flat earthers have in common is absolute zero capacity to see something for what it is. Why do you all always seem to feel the need to make something that we know so much about the target of your stupid conspiracy theory?
Do something, So that's what they probably did. They probably tried to shoot some up to the moon and see that it's not a tangible object. You can't land anything on it. It went right through it, I guess. What would it do? I guess go through it and into the dome.
Damn, I'm getting good at this. So that last part from me was just me trying to give the silliest explanation I could think of. But instead of me having to go back over what I just said and correct myself, you gave almost the exact same explanation. You, my silverhead friend, are nuttier than a squirrel turd. So what you're saying is that you do actually think that someone or some sort of organization shot at the moon from here on Earth, and that got the ball rolling on the biggest secret in the history of secret, when people saw the bullets pass through the moon after traveling 238,000 miles. Now, I'm not even going to bother explaining that there isn't a gun on the face of the Earth that could fire a projectile that far. It just seems totally pointless at this point.
I used to think that the sun and the moon might have been inside maybe the dome, but it doesn't seem like way to me now.
But it seemed that way to you in the video of yours I looked at last month. What's changed? I mean, we all know that you're a space is fake guy, so if your flat Earth, sun and moon aren't inside the dome, then where the hell are they? After all, it couldn't possibly be in outer space, could it? You know, on account of you thinking that space is fake and that the Earth is flat. So I'm sorry, pal, but I just don't follow your logic, yeah. Logic, I know.
You know, this is almost like a holographic image in a way, but possibly a plasma. It's difficult. You see, none of us know. All we do know, it's not a magical Walt Disney World land of being in space, because none of that exists.
See? None of that exists. And he means space. So where the hell are we then? I mean, even if by some miracle it turns out that you are right and everyone else in the world is wrong, even a flat Earth has got to be somewhere. And space is the ideal place for a planet, if you don't mind me saying so. I mean, there's so much space up there.
Anyway, so kids in a toy store, and then that's really what they do. Now what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to figure out how high the dome is, because if they're going to create NASA, they're going to have to understand they're going to have to turn that rocket at some point.
I knew it! I said it earlier on, didn't I? You heard me say it. I know I said it. I knew he'd bring NASA into it. He always does. But again, it falls upon me to correct you, Christopher. Not that I think for a second anything I say will have any effect on what you believe or don't believe. Rockets perform what is known as a gravity turn as they soar up into space. They start by going straight up to escape the thicker part of Earth's atmosphere as quickly as possible, but then they tilt sideways to start zooming around the Earth. And this curvy path is a fuel saver, and it helps them to get into orbit. It's like taking a ramp onto a space motorway, making their journey out into the cosmos smoother and more fuel efficient.
Just like the 5-year-old child when he was looking at the rocket going up. She said to herself, "Is that right?" And you tell her, "No, it's not. It should be going straight up." Don't tell me and try to catch up with the spin of Earth. That's bull horse. Give me the mathematical computation for that.
Certainly, CC. I mean, my whole life's purpose is to keep you happy. So here you go. The maths behind a gravity turn involves solving differential equations based on Newton's second law of motion. The key is to find the trajectory that minimizes fuel usage while ensuring that the rockets reach orbit. So V is the rocket's velocity, 0 is the flight path angle, T is the thrust, D is the drag, M is the rocket's mass, G is the gravitational acceleration, L is the lift, and ISP is the specific impulse. And this is what the maths looks like, as requested by you, CC. But unlike you and every flat earther out there, I'm not going to pretend to understand it. The equations are intertwined and need to be solved simultaneously, typically using numerical methods, and the actual computation gets a lot more complex. Really? That wasn't complicated enough? Especially when you toss in real-world factors like air resistance, change in mass as fuel burns off, and the Earth's rotation. Well, would you look at that, Chris? The math involved in a gravity turn takes the curvature of Earth into account, but I never. I wonder why.
I don't know.
You don't say. But to be fair, Chris, neither do I. But that's the big difference between you and me. I'm more than happy to accept what science can so elegantly demonstrate to us. That the Earth is an oblate spheroid, space is a very real place, the moon is Earth's natural satellite, and the sun is 93 million miles away. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Love you, bye.
That's all, folks.
All right, watch this next. But before you do, make sure you subscribe. By order of the Creaky Blinder.